came out that 1/3 of all internet traffic is fake.
Have you ever heard the phrase anticipatory obedience? By the way, this video may take a minute to get to the point, so if your attention span isn't up to the task, then shoot. So anticipatory obedience is a phenomenon where people comply with authority more than is actually being asked of them. Essentially following rules that don't actually exist in anticipation of what authority or even just social conformity seems to want from them. Very often this is about not wanting to draw negative attention to yourself, right? Fitting in rather than sticking out. And very often it's about naturally authoritarian people trying to use the authority of the collective to police other people and make themselves feel a little more powerful. That's essentially what a Karen is, right? Somebody sticking their nose in other people's business unnecessarily, being a nuisance but still feeling justified because they believe that the authority or social conformity is on their side. In 1978, the former Czech president Václav Havel wrote a parable about a greengrocer living in a communist dictatorship. In the story, after the rise of an authoritarian government, the greengrocer starts seeing more and more people putting pro-government propaganda posters in their windows. Now, eventually, the greengrocer, who is not a fan of the authoritarian government, ends up putting a sign in his own shop window. Not because he feels idealistically compelled to, but simply because he sees the rise in popularity of this narrative and he wants to be left alone. The idea is if you perform some sort of symbolic gesture to demonstrate your compliance with the authority, then you'll be left alone to live your life. So from his perspective, he's kind of just waving a white flag. The problem is, from everybody else's perspective, they're seeing what he saw. Lots and lots of windows with scary amounts of propaganda in them, which is essentially inflating everybody's impression of just how popular this ideology actually is and just how much power it actually has. Now imagine being a powerful financial interest today who wants to shift the narrative on a certain subject. You essentially have the technology to put 100 million signs in 100 million shop windows overnight. Now, if you also happen to have control of large segments of the corporate media, all you really have to do is sprinkle in a handful of popular, bought and paid for social media influencers. In a few hours, you will have thousands and thousands of people organically making their own videos, posting their own comments, supporting your narrative. Some in an attempt to fit in, eager to signal their moral virtue to the rest of us by how quickly they conform to the new narrative. Others simply relishing the opportunity to kick down by attacking, bullying, shaming, and guilt-tripping those who remain who have not yet conformed. Now, in the video I stitched, the guy says 1/3 of the traffic, which as far as I know is an arbitrary number, and he's talking about Chinese phone farms. But considering how powerful a tool controlling the narrative actually is, if you really believe that this is the most sophisticated version of this technology that currently exists, well then, I don't know, you and me live in different versions of reality. Anyway, have a nice day.